Is Jojo Siwa having her heterosexual awakening? This is a topic that I am so excited to talk about because I have just so many thoughts, okay? Because it's just funny to me that Jojo Siwa, 20-year-old girl, and I like her a lot, by the way. I've said this, I respect her. I think a lot of people couldn't handle what she does. She's been under scrutiny since she was a child. She was on Dance Moms and whatnot since she was literally a little girl. You know what I'm saying? She's still young now. She's only just turned 20. She's been touring, doing her own choreography, writing her own music for years, and I respect her most of all because she's not tried to like pander to the Hollywood, oh, as soon as you're a young woman and talented, we now need to overly sexualize you, which I'm going to talk about that in another video. She's very much stayed in her own lane and kind of, evolved in her own way. So I have a lot of respect for her, especially being so young. I think a lot of the people that are critiquing her, especially these adults on social media, couldn't cope with half of what she copes with. So I have a lot of respect for her in that aspect. Now, I've said to you guys before that this whole situation with her and this guy, Chris Hughes or whatever, that she seems to have, had her questioning her sexuality. I want to talk about something, right? From the perspective of somebody who's worked with a lot of children. Maybe, just maybe, working so hard to label people from the outset isn't good after all. And I know a lot of people are not going to like this because, anyways, if you don't know, I'll very quickly summarize what happened. The long and short of it is she was with this, I don't know what to call her because I believe she identifies as a they, them, which I don't know. Which I was like, how is she a lesbian then? How are they a lesbian couple if she's a they, them? Because surely then that would make them... Anyway, these things, they confuse me a little bit. Somebody explain that to me. How can you be the they, them and then you're a lesbian couple? Surely you should be something else. But anyway. She's this girl, and I only say that because they call themselves lesbians. Anyway, for like 4 months, she goes into Big Brother, and then, she starts having some feelings. She's talking about, I don't know, that I'm just lesbian, maybe I'm queer, right? And obviously a lot of people watching her getting more close with this guy than what a lot of people would want for their partner to be doing with somebody of the opposite sex on the show, or any sex of that matter, because they were crossing the lines. You know what I'm saying? Can I just make a little side comment on this whole topic and say, so many people, do you know what I realize every time there's any kind of like cheating things happening in society and you hear the adult population comment, how insecure people are in their relationships. This is one of the number one reasons I don't want to be in a relationship, because I'm not insecure. I'm not easily jealous. I'm not insecure. So when I see people like, oh my gosh, if my partner does this, I will freak out. I'm like, half the stuff, like probably 70% of the stuff people were talking about when they say that, I'm like, why are you with somebody that you don't trust that much? Like, you literally need them to be like handcuffed to you. If they breathe in the direction that's not you, you are like panicking. Like, this is why I hate adult relationships. When I see marriages of people in the world, it makes me never want to be married, by the way. And I'm like, you guys are insecure. Like, if you're like, oh my gosh, my man was out with his friends, he used to tell me every hour what he's like. Why are you with somebody you don't trust? I've never understood being in a relationship with somebody you don't trust. And that's been my whole life, not even just at 28. So when I'm seeing you big adults who've been married for 25 years and you're acting, oh my gosh, if my husband doesn't tell me this and my wife doesn't do this, I'm going to freak out. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, you people literally make me want to shoot myself in the head. And I'm not joking. So anyway, she's getting all close. Now, this is one time where I was like, okay, JJ, you did a bit too much here to be in a relationship, right? But it was with a guy, right? I really feel like she had her heterosexual awakening. And I feel like it's one of those things that when we're not overthinking this whole dating scene, which is what I feel like happens, again, with men and women today, everyone's so desperate to be in love. I don't get it. It's another thing I don't get. It's like when I hear the other Christian girlies that I know talking about, and I'm praying to the Lord to send me a man. I'm like, the hell I am. Why? Because why? At this humble moment. But anyway... And not because I don't think men are fantastic, by the way, but I just feel like the standard of love in this world is in the bin. And I'm not going to do no compromise, like do things the way the world does them things. So I'm just like, you know what? I'll let the world be the world and I'll just, stay over here. I can honestly, genuinely, anyway. So my men are all trying to label everything and overthink everything and like, oh, well, this is what I want in a person. Because this is one of the reasons I really can't stand dating. I'm like, I've realized that most of the time these days, especially when these instances when men approach me, right, these days, it's like I'm being asked, we're focusing on everything other than if we just like each other and have chemistry. And I'm not saying that those things are the only things that matter, but I'm like, sometimes I want to stop and ask people, like, do you like your spouse? Like, do you like them? Because it seems like, oh, he's great at this and he's good at that and he's good at that. I'm like, but do you like them? Do you like them? Because I feel like some of these issues that people are having would be solved if people were actually people that they liked and not just like on paper ticked all the boxes, right? And then also it's the labeling. I have to put myself in this bracket or that bracket. I have to consider myself to be, like, even when it comes to the political views, I'm right-wing conservative, I'm left-wing liberal, I'm, this. Like, why can't we just get to know human beings as humans? This is why I really fundamentally hate just talking to people a lot of the time, because people try so hard to try and put you down a particular pathway and they don't bother to get to know you. Like, this is what I feel like happens in dating to me all the time. It's like, are you trying to get to know me, or are you trying to see if I meet some list that you've got in your back of your head? Good with kids, knows how to cook, nice to be around, nice to look at, like, what, like, do you know what I'm saying? Anyway, so this is what irritates me, right? This is what really puts me in a place where I'm like, yeah, Lord, get me out of here. Get me far out of here. Anyway, what about getting to know somebody, right? It's like, if it's ladies, what's your star sign? Oh, you're a Taurus rising into this. You're like this. Oh, you do this career. You're like this. Oh, you're born in this country. You're like this. Your sexuality is this. You're like this. You're this age group. You're like this. You have this political group. You're like this. You have this religion. It's like, can we just get to know people? For goodness sake. I'm really frustrated about this topic area, especially because I'm just getting sick of having conversations with guys who are clearly reading off. And I don't think men realize. I can feel myself being shortlisted. Like, in the first conversation. So, what is it that you do for work? Like, it's like, just get the clipboard out at this point and just take notes. Because this is what you're doing anyway. You're not getting to know me. You don't know one single thing about me as a person. Anywho, and these are nice guys, by the way. I'm not talking about the riffraff. These are nice guys. But I feel like it's not their fault. It's the culture. That's what we do now. Oh, the one that annoys me the most when they start asking me how much I think a man should make. Oh! I hate that. I hate that. But anyway. And if you guys want to know my answer, I don't answer them like this because I don't think it's wise to, but I'll tell you guys. The truth is, I don't care. Do you know what's on the number one thing on my list that what I would like in a male? Somebody that I like. Because I think that's such a rarity. I don't like a lot of people. And I don't like to spend a lot of time around a lot of people. And honestly, when you like somebody, it can help a lot of things. It can help a lot of things in a relationship, because if you're like having a disagreement with somebody, but you're like, but I like you though. Anyway, so she's gone on the show and and this is why I'm making a big kerfuffle about all the things I'm saying, because everything that she experienced, it's the stuff you can't have in this little checklist. It's the stuff you can't find some kind of title, some kind of, whatever classification to have. It's just the stuff that it just happens when it's there. When it's there, it's there. And that's why I feel like she kind of was overwhelmed because she never experienced it before. And this is my problem. If we just let people live in life, and I'm not trying to take away from her, her sexuality or anything, don't get me wrong. But I'm just saying, maybe if we weren't so obsessed, because like, again, as a heterosexual person myself, I don't feel the need to prove to everybody that I'm a heterosexual. If you think I'm gay, all right, who cares? The fact of the matter is, I'm like who I'm like. Now, I know that it's going to be a male because, hello, have you seen the male community? Also, I'm a woman. I can't think of anything worse than being with a woman for the rest of my life. I can't genuinely... this is why I think men are actually not very smart, because I think ain't no way you people are going like breaking your backs and all this for us. Why in the world are you doing that? I could never. I could not. It's not that I hate women, but I'm a woman myself, so I know what we're capable of. I like the males in the male department. Those guys, they have their flaws, and they're a lot of work sometimes, but we love them. You know what I mean? They're really sweet. I could never be with a woman, but that's me. But then I also question, and this is my thing with Jojo and a lot of young ladies who are like lesbian. I'm like, are you actually having real romantic feelings, right? Because that's what I'm saying. Because we've now made dating in life these days about everything but an actual connection. This is what bothers me. People are like, oh, I was dating someone. I'm like, is there a connection? Are you feeling something? Are you feeling something? And I'm not talking about something sexual, by the way. I'm talking about something else, right? Or are we just doing the freaking checkbox list of, oh, you have this and I want this and I want that and I want that? That's what I want to know. But anywho, I feel like in my age group, I'm Gen Z. Well, I'm technically what do they call them? I'm a zillennial. I love how we just make these words up. See what I'm saying? Because I'm kind of at the end of millennials and kind of at the oldest of the generations at Z. But I prefer to be Gen Z because honestly, I think we've got more hope. And there's too much pride in the older generations. However, millennials, I do class you guys as the younger generation as well because I do class you guys there. But I do think there's too much pride in the older generations for any meaningful change to happen. I just don't think they're willing to humble themselves. Anyway, for our group, our age category, my age category of the Gen Zs, right? I feel like there's been like this thing amongst us girls. This is the thing about being a woman. This is why I'm deciphering the different types of connections and attractions. Where like we get on with somebody. It's the same reason why the older women who just married these husbands because they were good on paper, but there wasn't an ounce of sexual attraction happening to those people. And that's why they're all in sexless marriages. God forbid, right? It's the same thing. It's a thing that especially us women can do where you like somebody, but you haven't figured out in what manner you truly like that person, right? And so you go, oh my gosh, we've got all this in common. It's like the data makes sense in your head, right? It's in a different kind of way to, I feel like, how it happens to the men. I don't understand men, to be honest, and I actually don't want to. I love them being a mystery. I love it. In like you have this like attraction, like you have this like connection maybe, but it's not necessarily romantic or sexual, which are two different things if you ask me. But then you perceive it as, oh, we have all this in common. I've never had this connection with a guy, because that's the other thing. Men and women, we're so different that we're not going to just and this is another thing that it irritates me about dating. Again, and men sometimes, hate to say it, but I'm being honest, is I feel like sometimes we're trying too hard to make each other like each other rather than appreciating us for who we are. So sometimes I feel like men villainize us as women for things that make us women. It's like women are like, oh, you're just being emotional. Okay. Yeah, I'm being emotional. And you best hope and believe it. You best hope I am, because that's what makes us great nurturers. That's what makes us good at paying attention to detail and looking after your stink asses. Yeah, how about that? Yeah, our emotions. You know what I'm saying? So it's like there's certain things that we're going to be like oil and water. That's how it works. So yes, it's probably likely that I'm going to go and I can say one thing to a woman and she'll be like, oh my gosh, I get it. And I'll say something to a guy and they'll be like, did you even need to open your mouth to say anything in that moment? Do you know what I'm saying? So this is the problem. We're so busy, like we've become a society where we're so away from, it's because we're lacking in strong wisdom. And this is what I'm saying. This is why I do blame the older generations for a lot of things. I don't think we've been taught well enough how to understand each other as different genders, right? So then we villainize a lot of things about each other that God created us to do on purpose, that actually makes us a better team. So naturally, I get that for a lot of women, dealing with men is kind of intimidating, because they are kind of intimidating to deal with because of the things that they say and do. It is easier, arguably, to speak with amongst women, but which do I think is more beneficial? I'm going to choose the men at any given moment. I don't just mean that in dating. I mean in life. You know what I'm saying? Like in terms of learning things, there's a lot of things I've learned just because I grew up and I only had brothers and I was a woman. You know what I'm saying? And there's certain things about that, right, that have shifted my perspective in life. That's why I feel like I more naturally can see both sides of the coin a lot of the time, even if I don't necessarily agree. It doesn't mean I agree. It doesn't mean that's how I'm feeling, but it means that I've seen certain things enough to kind of get that, oh, you know what, this is just some of our natural differences. So I feel like because of that, what ends up happening for a lot of young ladies, especially on social media, this is where I feel like Jojo's in that category. We're so inundated with all these labels where we've got ADHD and we're a Sagittarius rising and a Cancer moon and we are queer and we are, all these, and we are a liberal and we are whatever we are. We've got all these titles and labels that people are shoving us into, that we don't just get to be. Because I really feel like what she had, when I saw how she was acting, I was like, I've seen that before. That's just the feeling. I've said this before. I think as women, when we actually catch feelings, it just kind of hits you and there's nothing you can do about it. It just hits you and it's just like, oh no. And I honestly feel like that in general when you have a connection with somebody. I feel like it just hits you. just hits you, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's listen to me sound a little lovey-dovey after going on for 15 minutes about how I don't want anything to do with romantic relationships. And that obviously that cancels out kids, because I think kids need two parents that are in love. Because again, a lot of these issues would be solved if kids were growing up with two parents that are actually in love, like in love. Like, because then they would see the example of both things and they wouldn't be so quick to have to feel like, anyway. So that's what I feel like is happening here a little bit. I feel like her and a lot of women, because I've seen it happen. I've seen a lot of girls, and it's this day and age where we really want to hold on to, like, you know, kind of the rebellious approach. And I don't mean that in a judgmental sense, but I do feel like sometimes it's almost like we're so dedicated to like holding on to the fact that like, oh, I'm queer, or I'm this, or I'm whatever title, that we can't just like let it go. Or we have to like hold us. Like I remember when I was in school, like I remember this when I was in school, right? There was a whole bunch, I don't know if I've ever told you guys this story about how like half of my class, my biology class was gay by the end of the 2 years that I was doing my A-levels. And I remember there was a number of girls in the class who were in long-term relationships with guys, right? But who were so hell-bent on being acknowledged as bisexual. And I was like, you know what? Does it matter? Because the thing is, as I'm saying, to me, it doesn't matter as a heterosexual person if people think whatever they think about me. Cool. I've had people tell me they think I'm not straight. I'm like, cool. Who cares? It doesn't matter. But it's like we're so, it's almost like we're so desperate and dedicated to having to hold on to these things that we can't just almost live. And that's the thing that I'm saying now was what's concerning me is like, with her, it's like she's 20. She's just got her foot out the door. Why are we shoving all these titles on these people so young? I'm only 28. And honestly, I've just become an adult for 10 years. And can I just say, guys, the amount of pressure to just call myself so many things and be so many things from outward sources, not from myself, from adults especially as well, right? And others, is just so unnecessary at this point. Like, just let the girl live. You know what would have been more useful? People helping me onto my actual career path to find what I want to do. Not telling me from what denomination Christian I am, and if I'm right wing, left wing, and if I'm gay, straight, and if I'm a Capricorn. And all these titles. And that's what I feel like we're seeing here. She's having a heterosexual awakening. And I get it. There's that day that comes, at least it came for me, where I was like, I definitely not into women. And that's okay. But it wasn't something I was overly breaking my mind about. You know what I mean? It's just part of growing up and growing and being like, you know what? God actually ate with that. Because that's how I feel. Like, you know what? God, you actually ate with that, to be completely honest. But then this is what we do in the world. And then now, and it was actually funny because I was telling somebody else about this whole situation, because I'm going to keep talking about it, because I love when things happen like this, because this is what this person said, and I didn't realize this is just why I'm making this video. They were like, oh, that's interesting. I wondered why they stopped reporting on her situation. I guess it's because they don't want to hear, you know, that people, it's obviously fine. When there's women literally leaving their husbands to go off with women, it's absolutely fine, right? But then now you have a woman who left another woman to be with a man, and now we don't want to talk about it. Because of course, and this is my other thing, and this is why I'm an advocate for this, and to an extent, well, to a large extent, is I do feel like, you know, the straight men of the world I feel for. The Western world, I feel for them, because it's like they're out now. It's like anything but straight men, straight men, anything but that is acceptable. I feel like in a lot of circles, some of it is because of you people's actions. I hate to say it, but it's true. Some of it is also just, again, the gender disconnect of us not really understanding how we operate, and then us just villainizing each other for things that are part of who we are as a man or a woman. And then because we clash, rather than like learning about each other and humbling ourselves, we just become at odds with each other. Because sometimes when I hear even guys that I like on social media talking about women, I think you don't understand women as much as you think you do. And honestly, your whole audience is being led astray. And I'm not talking about like any type of extreme levels. I'm talking about guys who I think, you know, I like a lot of their content, but sometimes they say certain things about women and I'm just like, you missed it. And the fact that you're making videos like this, the very woman you actually want, you're putting off, and you don't even see how you're putting her off, because you're looking at this from a male standpoint. You're not looking at this from how this what you're saying comes across to women. And you're actually putting off the women you don't like. And I see this vicious cycle happen with men a lot, where they like think they figured out women out, and then they find themselves in this vicious cycle of having bad experiences with women. But I'm like, that's because you don't understand women the way you think you do. And you keep putting off the women you would want, right? Meanwhile, you're the women you wouldn't want, are the ones who are attracted to you because they see you're a good guy, but then you're now the one who gets stuck in that loop. And I see that happening all the time. I see that happening even with guys that I meet. I'm like, they tell me their experiences as women, and I think, oh, sweetheart, you're an idiot. Bless. Anyway, life's game is pay to win. I just wanted to talk about that because I feel like there's just so much to unpack here. And also, just most importantly, this is why I'm truly against us doing all this work with kids to get them to make all these decisions about their identity. To me, identity isn't based on labels. It's your soul. Like who you are at the end of the day, your morals and values that you stand on, and like, you know what I'm saying? Like what you're placed on this earth to do, like not just a couple of random facts. Do you know how many different political views I've had throughout my life? Like, do you know how many things I could have been throughout my life? Like, it's just a joke. It's the same reason why I think it's stupid when people judge stuff. Like, the first thing that we ask people these days is, what do you do for work? Like, why does that even matter? Why can't we get to know people? That's what I'm saying. The standard of love is in the bin. Anyways, if life's a game, it's pay to win. God bless you all. God loves you. I love you. And I'll see you in my next one.